The Navy is making lethality-enhancing modifications to its next two new Ford-class aircraft carriers, to include weapons-oriented ship adjustments intended to further increase overall aircraft carrier combat effectiveness. The initiatives, according to Navy statements, involve specific aircraft carrier modifications intended to, among other things, improve the maritime warfighting potential of how a carrier integrates with the soon-to-arrive F-35C and MQ-25 Stingray drone aerial refueler. These now underway modifications, which Navy developers specify do not include changes to the F-35C or Stingray themselves, are in part intended to step up aircraft carrier attack abilities on the open sea, made manifest by the Navy's recent cost-saving two-carrier buy. All of this is enabled by a two-carrier Navy buy of its next two Ford-class carriers. Instead of stovepiping or separating purchases for its next two carriers, the Navy has awarded a contract to Huntington Ingalls Industries to build both the future USS Enterprise, CVN-80, and the as-of-yet unnamed fourth Ford-class carrier, CVN-81. Alongside the intended cost saving of more than $4 billion associated with the block buy, the Navy is also streamlining weapons and war technology development regarding how a carrier hosts its F-35C, Mk-38 gun system and MQ-25 Stingray drones, a Navy statement writes. These modifications increase the lethality of the Ford class, and represent an additional $100 million in savings. Since these modifications were not included in the original single CVN Navy estimate, a Navy statement writes. These modifications to the carriers themselves, described as lethality-enhancing measures, appear to be a part of the Navy's broader strategy to massively increase offensive and defensive war systems for its Ford-class carriers. So far, some of these measures include the planned addition of now-in-development torpedo defense systems, interceptor missiles and the introduction of greatly impactful platforms such as the F-35C and MQ-25 Stingray. Part of these modifications include the introduction of digital shipbuilding techniques as well. Integrated digital shipbuilding, IDS, is key to achieving the production efficiencies of the two CVN buy. The Navy and the shipbuilder are investing in IDS, which will reduce the amount of production effort required to build Ford-class carriers, William Couch, Naval Sea Systems Command spokesman, told Warrior Maven. Streamlining the integration of these platforms, as stated by the Navy, could bring a range of substantial enhancements, and align with the Navy's strategy to better prepare its carriers for war. The F-35C, naturally, will bring a new array of attack options for the carrier air wing, not to mention an unprecedented measure of aerial intelligence, reconnaissance and surveillance, ISR. Drawing upon new sensor and targeting technology, the aerial attack range will be significantly changed, and stealth technology will enable air attack to operate in higher threat environments, such as areas containing advanced air defenses. The arrival of the F-35C is, by all estimations, expected to change the paradigm for carrier air attack. These enhancements are intended to work alongside and benefit from the emergence of a first-of-its-kind drone refueler, which brings the promise of potentially doubling the attack radius for carrier-launched fighters. An ability to refuel while in flight massively extends a carrier's attempt to further project power, while remaining at safer standoff distances. If the combat radius of an F-18 or F-35, on one fuel tank, reaches 300 to 400 miles or so, the aircraft will have to turn around at a certain distance from its carrier. However, if an attack platform can double that range, it can naturally travel much farther, enabling much more dwell time when it comes to attacks and provide the option to strike targets farther inland or from greater distances. With a clear intent to enhance the Navy's carrier-based forward attack presence worldwide, shipbuilder Huntington Ingalls released a statement that the two-carrier buy is instrumental toward actualizing the Navy's planned fleet expansion, streamlined acquisition, he says, can bring the Navy closer to a path toward a 12-carrier fleet. His statement at the time of the award called the 2-carrier by a triumphant step toward returning to a 12-ship aircraft carrier fleet and building the 355-ship Navy our nation needs, Jennifer Boykin, president of Newport News Shipbuilding, said in a company statement. Most importantly for us, it provides stability into the year 2032 for our workforce and for our supplier businesses across the United States. Adds that the 2 ships are scheduled to be delivered in 2028 and 2032, respectively. Therefore, it goes without saying that streamlining the acquisition and integration of these systems aligns with an aggressive Navy push to make carriers more combat capable. This strategy appears to have a few possible dimensions. While carriers typically operate in carrier strike groups surrounded by cruisers, destroyers and other warships able to provide protection, a fast-changing threat environment is expected to create the need for more dispersed, or disaggregated operations. In short, carriers will need greater attack and defensive technology themselves. For this reason, the service is not only looking to streamline and accelerate the arrival of the F-35C and drone tanker, but also bring new weapons such as lasers, guns, electronic warfare and new interceptor defense systems. All of this pertains to a much-discussed phenomenon characterizing Navy carriers for quite some time, namely that longer-range anti-ship missile, drone attacks, when laser threats from potential adversaries change the equation regarding where carriers may need to operate. Observers have said new weapons, such as the Chinese DF-26 anti-ship missile reportedly able to travel up to 900 miles and other emerging threats, radically change the manner in which carriers will need to function, making them potentially less able to attack and project power. However, Navy leaders and developers often say not so fast, making the point that emerging weapons and carrier defenses will enable carriers to operate where they need to. Naturally, they do not offer much specifics, for security reasons, but there are a range of fast-emerging weapons which dramatically improve the Navy's layered ship defense system. Osborne previously served at the Pentagon as a highly qualified expert with the Office of the Assistant Secretary of the Army, Acquisition, Logistics, and Technology. Osborne has also worked as an anchor and on-air military specialist at national TV networks. He has a master's in comparative literature from Columbia University. Top defense contractors are competing to give America's longest-serving bomber a big-time upgrade to its onboard sensors to improve the aircraft's lethality in combat. The radars on U.S. Air Force B-52H Stratofortress bombers are old and haven't been updated since the 1980s. To keep these decades-old aircraft fighting into the foreseeable future, the Air Force is pursuing new advanced radar systems that can unlock the full fighting capabilities of the older bombers, allowing them to eliminate ground targets, as well as take on non-traditional combat roles, such as taking out ships at sea and engaging in aerial combat. Northrop Grumman, a major U.S. defense contractor, is currently pushing to replace the B-52 bomber's outdated AN/APQ-166 radars with its AN/APG-83 Scalable Agile Beam Radar, SABR, as part of the B-52 radar modernization program. The SABR system pitched for the B-52 is the same as that being installed on Air Force F-16s. Northrop Grumman has an enhanced SABR variant for the B-1B Lancer as well. Also in the running to provide improved radar systems for the B-52, Raytheon is pulling radar capabilities from the F-15's APG-63V3 and APG-82 Active Electronically Scanned Array, AESA, radars and the APG-79 on the Super Hornets and Growlers, according to an earlier statement from the company. The U.S. Air Force is determined to see the 60-year-old bombers wage war for at least a century, so the heavy, long-range bombers are receiving a variety of upgrades to extend their length of service. Improvements include an upgraded weapons rack for smart munitions, new engines, and a new radar system, among other things. Northrop Grumman submitted a proposal this week to Boeing, which is handling source selection for the radar upgrades for the Air Force. The company states its Sabre system leverages the proven fifth-generation active electronically scanned array radar capabilities of the AN/APG-77 on the F-22 Raptor and the AN/APG-81 on the F-35 Lightning II. Incorporating ASA radar capabilities into the B-52's sensor suite would be a big deal, the Warzone's Tyler Rogoway explains, noting that an advanced radar system like Northrop Grumman's Sabre could improve targeting, surveillance, and situational awareness. The upgrade would allow the bomber's 6-man crew to simultaneously engage ground and naval targets in all weather conditions and at greater distances, target enemies using advanced electronic attack capabilities, and even engage in air-to-air combat if necessary. With these enhanced capabilities and the B-52's ability to carry a large arsenal of weaponry into battle, the aircraft will be better prepared to fight in contested anti-access zones and defend friendly forces. China and Russia, both of which are locked in military competition with the U.S., have been pursuing standoff capabilities to create anti-access/area denial environments, and the U.S. military is working hard to counter emerging challenges to American operations by developing its own standoff capabilities. For instance, during last year's Valiant Shield exercises, B-52 bombers practiced dropping new 2,000-pound derivatives of the Quickstrike ER, extended range, naval mine. The bombers can lay devastating minefields from 50 miles away. Northrop Grumman and Raytheon are also competing to replace the AN/APG-73 radar systems on older model FA-18 Hornets, with Northrop offering the Sabre system and Raytheon offering its APG-79, according to Inside Defense.